Okay, great. Welcome Julie to the webinar series in college essay writing. We've been having a great time the last few days. Every day has been a different college. Coming in the evening, it's 7 p.m. here in India, coming, presenting their perspectives on how they read applications. Great learning curve, So I invite you today to talk about the why us questions, so important for the US applications. Such a hallmark of the college admission process in the US, and to share with us some insights about WPI. So all yours.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. And this is actually a really important topic. And when students ask us admissions counselors how they can strengthen their application, the why us or why WPI essay is always a really easy win. So thank you for having me here today. My name is Julie. I work at Worcester Polytechnic Institute. And I just kind of want to spend a little bit of time talking about the why us question, how WPI uses it, and then a little bit about WPI, and then tips for answering the why us question. So at many universities in the United States, you will see some flavor of, what makes you a good fit for X institution, or why are you interested in applying to Y institution? And WPI is no different. We certainly ask that question. Our intentions of asking that question are to really understand what about WPI is unique that resonated with you. When I talk about Worcester Polytechnic Institute, we're a STEM-focused institution, but we're different than a lot of other STEM-focused institutions. So we really want to be sure that students have a good understanding of what we're all about. We also want to know what makes the student a good fit for the institution. So, we're looking to see what kind of person you are and what characteristics you have that would make you a good fit for a unique place like WPI. And then I think one of the major reasons that a lot of colleges use the why us question is because they're trying to gauge something that we in admissions call demonstrated interest. What do you know about our institution, and how likely are you to enroll if we offer you admission? These are all statistical points that are important to colleges in terms of making their admissions decision. So the more you can show us that you really know the institution, the more we believe you're likely to enroll. And students from India, one of the reasons this is so important for international students or students outside the country is because you often don't have a chance to physically visit the college, but we know there are a lot of virtual resources for you to learn more about the institutions that you're considering applying to, and really highlight your appreciation of them and your fit for them in that why us answer. So I want to kind of shape the conversation by telling you what WPI asks. And WPI asks our why us question says, WPI seeks students who are the right fit for its academic and campus community. In what ways are you the right fit for the distinctive educational and campus experience that WPI offers? It's kind of a wordy question, but what we mean is, why are you interested in WPI? And so I wanted to start with some bad answers, and these were all from the past application cycle. We don't get a lot of bad answers. We get 11,000 applications a year, and I just have 3 bad answers for you here. But this was a particularly surprising WPI answer. It is a 5-word minimum, and the student just typed the letter W for 5 words worth. Another bad answer, the one that did make us laugh in committee: why do you want to come to WPI? Oh, because I love goats. And then the final one that I'll show you here, why WPI? I am good, accept me, please. So obviously none of these are an appropriate answer to that question. I honestly don't know what students are thinking when they do something like this. I believe in my optimistic way that students are saving a place, like they're just completing this question and they intend to return to it and write a real answer at some point in the future. And then the deadline sneaks up on them and they submit the application without realizing that they never changed their placeholder answer. But these are all very difficult committee decisions because these could be very talented applicants who just really didn't spend any time on this, and therefore we question their level of interest. So I've showed you the kind of question that colleges are asking. I've showed you what not to do. And now I want to talk just a little bit about WPI before I return to what you should do to answer these questions. And I'm going to go through the information on WPI pretty quickly because I trust that you can find it again if you need it. But I want to show you how learning just a little bit about an institution can really help you answer this question in a much more detailed way. So fast facts about WPI, you know, founded 150 or so years ago, a small to medium-sized university with a growing number of women, students of color, and international students on our campus. We are known as a STEM-focused institution, so the majority of our majors are in the engineering field, the science, the math, the computer-related fields, as well as business programs. A nice thing about WPI is you don't have to come to WPI knowing what major you want. You just have to come to WPI knowing that you like STEM and that you're headed in that direction. Other facts up there will tell you some of the basics about WPI in terms of, you know, strong retention rate, small student to faculty ratio, great access to labs, the ability to really maximize your time at the institution through a double major or a 5-year bachelor-master's combined program. But when we talk about WPI, what we really talk about is the WPI plan and kind of what makes WPI different than other STEM-focused institutions. And the plan is really what makes WPI different. The plan has 4 parts. The first part is our academic calendar. So instead of having a 14-week fall semester and a 14-week spring semester, we take those 14 weeks and we cut them in half, and we have 4 7-week academic terms at WPI. So if at another institution in the United States, you were going to take Calculus 1, it would take you 14 weeks to complete. But at WPI, it only takes you 7 weeks to complete that Calculus 1 class. How do we do it? At WPI, you only take 3 classes at a time. At a 14-week institution, you might take 5 or 6 classes even at a time. So you're only taking 3 classes at a time, and those classes are meeting pretty much every day. The plus of this is that, you know, our students can move through material very quickly because the professors aren't spending a lot of time reviewing the information that you learned last week. You were in class yesterday, you learned the information, you did the homework last night, so it's all very fresh, and the faculty can move through their material very quickly. Another plus is for the student, right? You think about high school where you're studying, you know, a lot of different subjects all at the same time. At WPI, you're only ever going to have 3 homework assignments. You're only ever going to have 3 final exams or projects due at the end of the semester. So our academic calendar is different than many other institutions. Another thing that's different is our grading policy. We say it's impossible to fail at WPI, but it's possible to not pass. So you'll only ever get 3 grades on your transcript. You can only get an A, a B, or a C. Anything below a C, we call it a no record. It doesn't appear on your transcript. It doesn't hurt your grade point average. It's like you never took the class. It's not going to hurt your chance of getting a job or going into grad school after graduation. And we do that to encourage our students to take risks. Engineers and scientists have to be comfortable with failure, but our student population tends to be uncomfortable with failure. So if we take away the fear of failure, if we remove that option, then students are more willing to take a class that's outside their comfort zone. And the final thing I would say that's unique about WPI is the global projects and the project-based curriculum. So WPI is a school that's all about hands-on learning. We're all about working in teams, collaborating, taking a problem that doesn't have an answer and finding a really great solution for it. You'll do that through these 4 different projects that you can see on the screen: the Great Problem Seminar, which is a first-year project, completing a humanities and arts project, something outside your major to kind of keep you balanced, and then the IQP and the MQP. I'll talk about the IQP and the MQP because those are our big projects. The IQP is typically done in your junior year, and we give all of our students a global scholarship of up to $5,000 to complete that IQP project in another country. So how it works is you and a group of WPI students and professors will travel to one of those little red dots on the map. You'll work for 7 weeks on a science or engineering focused project in another country that's unique to that community. So you might work on wildfire prevention if you go to Australia. You might work on sustainable fishing if you go to Costa Rica. But the point is to have this pretty unique global experience. The MQP is typically done in your senior year. It's your major qualifying project. So if you have chosen to study robotics engineering, you and 3 or 4 other robotics students may be building a robot that can help doctors and nurses remove infected clothing. So that reduces the human touch contamination that can happen when they're doing that. So these are large scale projects that our students do typically in their junior and senior year, but really throughout their whole time at WPI. And it's really interesting to see how they grow and how they become better problem solvers by being given these open-ended problems. So I'm gonna not talk about WPI specifically anymore, but I wanna circle back to that WPI question. You can see that just by hearing from me for 7 or 8 minutes about WPI, that you are now better equipped to answer this question that we ask of all of our applicants on the Common Application. So our best answers will show us, skills and characteristics that are important to us. You guys have probably guessed, because we're a school that focuses on project-based learning, it is really important for our students to be innovative, for our students to be collaborative, for our students to have that global perspective and be excited to travel to another place in the world. Engineers and scientists all typically want to make the world a better place. And so that's something you can highlight in your YWPI answer. And then we're also looking for grit and resilience. What challenges have you had in your life that show us that we can drop you in Thailand with a group of WPI students and you'll be okay to solve a problem in a 7-week time frame? Another thing that we're looking for when we read those why WPI or why us answers are familiarity with the university. I just gave you 3 perfect examples that we would love to hear about in the answer to that why WPI question. Things like our academic calendar. Maybe you like that academic calendar, maybe you don't, but we want you to know about it because it is different than other institutions. The grading system, what about that grading system appeals to you? Why do you like the concept of a no record or no failing grade? And project opportunities. Tell us about projects that you've done. Were you part of a high school robotics team? Have you had the opportunity to be a part of student government and work to plan a project or an event for your school? All of that is really helpful for us to understand that you know that WPI is about these things, and you're a good fit for them. I wanted to give you a couple final tips, more general tips, but to, when we're reading those YWPI answers or why us answers, we're looking for your voice as well. The voice should be present in your college essay, that main Common App essay, but it should be a consistent voice that you have in the YWPI answer. I think a lot of times students spend so much time on the college essay, and then they kind of quickly write that why us answer on the day before the deadline. And so it has a very different tone. It might sound less professional, it might sound less grammatically correct, but really try and be consistent with the essay and spend some time on writing your why us answer. For any college that you're applying to, reassure us that you know what our university is all about, even if you've never been to campus. We're a very specific university, so we want to be 100% sure that you're getting into the right situation for you. We would love for you to be specific in your answers that you give. Do you know somebody at WPI? Do you have a family friend who attended WPI? Did you watch one of our YouTube videos and you saw something that you really liked? I think anytime a student tells a story in their why us answer, I relate to it better. If they're telling me, that as they were doing the virtual campus tour, they noticed that our fountain on campus is actually a student scientific project that has this very complex wind sensor. If they can tell me those stories in their YWPI, I really feel like they've done their research. But I want you to be careful to not load your why us answer with a bunch of statistics or random trivia from our site. We see these answers every year where a student says, I'm a good fit for WPI because I want to take X class with X professor, or I want to join this one particular club. Those are okay, and we want you to look at our catalog and look at the list of student organizations, but I think there's got to be a little more depth to the answer, that you really know the core, the soul of the institution when you're writing these essays. There's always the chance that since you're going to be writing these essays for many institutions, which on paper look pretty similar, you might copy and paste some of your answer, and that happens every year. At some institutions, I think that's a criteria for not admitting you. At WPI, it's always a conversation in committee. If you've called us RPI or you've called us Purdue or one of our other peer institutions, we understand that these things happen. If you're an incredibly strong candidate for WPI, it's probably not going to make a difference. But if you're a weaker candidate for WPI, this might just be the final thing that makes us say, okay, not a strong candidate for the university and maybe not really interested in the university. But the one thing I just really want to highlight is to take the time to do your research, even just a short presentation like this. The great thing for you in these difficult coronavirus times is every university is pivoting to offer more virtual opportunities. WPI never used to offer anything beyond a virtual tour, if a student or a school reached out to me, we would do a one-on-one type thing. But now we have dozens of virtual opportunities. We have, virtual information session, virtual tour. We've enhanced the YouTube offerings. Our faculty are doing department-specific presentations. We do prospective student interviews. Whatever you can do to do that research, you don't have to spend dozens of hours doing this research, but just a short half-an-hour presentation can give you more information to write the YWPI answer, the why us answer than you ever imagined. So I will kind of pause there. I put my contact information up on the screen, as well as ways to follow the university on social media. You can kind of passively absorb information from our admissions office or our tour guides that will maybe help you get a better sense of what the institution is all about. But I know Neeraj said that we might have time for questions. So if there are any, I am happy to take them.
Thank you, Julie. That was very interesting, short and sweet and to the point. And I think during a day when everybody has been so busy, very useful to have that. So bang on the mark. One question that has come to me is if you could give us any interesting suggestions on how to check out WPI. I know you mentioned some of these online opportunities. What are some of the things that you would encourage people to look out for? And what are some of the other channels that you would encourage people to review?
Yeah, fair. And the ones I all mentioned are, kind of admissions materials, right? We run our own Instagram and Facebook pages. Our student tour guides run their own Instagram and Facebook pages. But I would also encourage you to seek out other sources of information that are more, I guess, that are just student driven. We put up some video content on our WPI admissions YouTube page, but there's plenty of other videos tagged with WPI in them that I think can give you a sense of, what are athletics like at WPI? What are some of these projects like at WPI that are really student produced? We have a couple of great videos for international students so that you guys can see what is the international community here like, and how do students like it? So seek out alternatives. Our Reddit page is pretty quiet, but there's stuff posted on there every now and then that's not admissions driven. So I encourage you to look at our marketing materials and our nice videos, but seek out those other sources as well.
Thank you, Julie. One of the questions we always get from students is, what are they looking for? I'm doing all this research, and is there something you think, oh, this is how you figure out what institutions are looking for? I know this is a really tough question to answer and probably varies from college to college, but it is one of those things that students get confused about as they do research. So how do they go about that?
Yeah, and I think, again, that just goes into time. Like, I know that most students, when they're starting the college search, they start with a couple of criteria, right? They're either going to say, oh, I definitely want this major, or I want this type of major. Maybe I want to be in a big institution or a small institution. Maybe I want to be in a city or in a rural town. I know that's how they start the college search. But once they get that list of 5 or 10 universities that they're really serious about, I think it's worth it to take that time and do that deep dive. Could be a half an hour on the university's website to learn a little bit more about them. So that's one of the things that comes up regularly for WPI. If a student doesn't mention projects in their YWPI answer, we really wonder how much they know about the institution, because we're all about projects. You can't even get past the first page of our website without knowing that project-based learning is really important to us. And once you do a little analyzation of that information, you can understand that, of course, collaboration would be important to us. Of course, problem solving would be important to us. And so if we are reading a student's application where their hobbies include playing piano by themselves and doing photography by themselves and gaming by themselves, and they don't mention project work in their YWPI answer, then we wonder, is the student really a good fit for a school like WPI, or do they want to go to a university that's more focused on independent research or something like that? So I think it takes time. Not all universities are looking for the same type of student. And there are many large universities in the United States for which there is no, there is no one criteria that they need a student, or no one characteristic that they need a student to have, because they offer so many majors and they're so big. But they have distinct things that they want to highlight, and the admissions office is always ready to tell you what those distinct things are.
Super helpful. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how many times I've had that moment with a kid where, we were talking about a college and their eyes light up, when they see those 5 things and they're like, this is me, this is who I am, this is the college I want to go to, because they exactly have what I want. And there are times when I've seen students struggle with some sort of a ranked or a branded college where they're like, I don't know, I guess I should be applying here, but I'm hating everything about this college. So for me, the YS essay so much is also about going inwards as much as outwards, about looking at a college and thinking,
True.
Is this a good fit for me, for who I am and what I want to do? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think, I think that's really important to us. Worcester Polytechnic Institute is never a name that rolls off of people's tongues, the way some other 3-letter institutions in the United States are. So when we have applicants applying, we know that they didn't just randomly choose to apply to WPI. They really did their research to put us on their list. And yeah, I mean, this is a community of collaborators and creators. So as much as you can share that information with us in that answer, it really does make a difference.
Super helpful. Thank you. The second question is that, how much of the YS essay should be about myself vis-a-vis about the college? I mean, I have seen YS essays where, students did research and they spit back the research that they did online into the essay and said, well, here is a redrafted version of what you could write on your website, which had nothing to do with the kid. And then I've seen essays which were like really strongly about, this is what I am looking to do, etc. So could you talk a little bit about that balance?
Yeah, and I generally think kind of 50-50 is a good rule of thumb, because as much as we maybe don't want to admit it, we are looking for you to say some nice things about our institution, but we're also really looking to see what is that intersection of you and the institution. So I've had the exact same thing where I've read YWPI answers that are 100% about WPI, and I've read YWPI answers that don't even say the word WPI. So somewhere in the middle, and there's no one way to write it that's going to be perfect. Just because you talk about our academic calendar and our grading policy and our project-based learning, if you're doing that in a way that doesn't really sound like you understand what you're saying, or that is not cohesively written, it's still not going to be an amazing answer. And we also want to know, yeah, I think 50-50, because I think, that we have this special academic calendar. What about it do you like? We have project opportunities. What projects have you done? Or what projects do you want to do that would make WPI a good fit for you? So kind of think about, what about the university is important to you, and can you highlight an example from your life that shows that you'd be a good fit?
Super helpful. Thank you so much. Here's a cheeky one. Do you read the YWPI essay first, or do you read the Common App essays first? And which one is more important, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good second part to that. So we switched the way that we read applications a couple of years ago. We're a STEM-focused institution, so we used to read the quantitative parts of the application first, the transcript, the SAT scores if they were submitted. But a few years ago, we switched that. And so now we read the common application first, and we read it in the order that it comes in, meaning we read first your extracurricular activities, then your essay, and then your YWPI answer. And what what that whole process did for us to focus on the qualitative more than the quantitative was really admit the type of students that we were looking for. So by reading your recommendations and your essays and your extracurriculars all in the beginning of the application, we get a sense of what type of student you are and whether you'll be a good fit. That way, once we get to the grades and the SAT or the ACT, if submitted, then we're prepared for them, right? And we can be more forgiving for them if a student is a really great fit. That said, between the essay and the YWPI, I would say a WPI, the YWPI is probably a little more important than the essay. And that's not to say that the essay is not important, but the fact is we're a technical school, you know, bringing in a class of scientists and engineers. We care that you can write and you can cohesively tell a story, but it's not the end all be all the way it might be at a smaller liberal arts institution. What is really important for us is that you get what WPI is all about.
That's fantastic, Julie. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your presentation, your insights. I hope as this video makes its way across India, you get better quality of applicants and they are able to tell better stories about themselves to you.
All right, great. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck, everybody. Stay healthy and safe.
Thanks, Julie. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.